This is not your everyday podcast. Real conversations, real stories.
Today we're diving into the story of a lawyer who's not afraid to shake things up. From Clayton County roots, the Honorable Danney Nagel has built a reputation as one of the most interesting personal injury attorneys in the game. His unique approach to marketing, he's redefining what it means to be a lawyer. Welcome to Innovators and Litigators, Danney.
Man, appreciate it, man.
Good to have you, brother.
Always good to come and visit.
Absolutely. So what you been up to?
Nothing much, man. Just about ready to roll out a brand new billboard campaign.
I want to talk a lot about that.
Okay, let's go.
So first, we'll start. I want people to kind of know where you're from, what you come up. So I'm big on the come up.
Yeah.
So many people in the industry, and this is the reason why we do this podcast, is they kind of tell you there's only two ways to wealth, right?
Yep.
Only two ways to success. Either you're born into it, your parents told you how to do everything, or you're a silver spoon.
Yeah.
Or if you buy my course,
yeah,
then you'll learn all the secrets, and now you'll be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
So kind of tell our audience.
I guess I failed into success because I don't have either one of those.
Me neither.
No, man. Lifelong ClayCo resident, 41 plus years, still live in ClayCo. Went to public school. Kind of a nerd, but I was like a nerd, but like popular. Like people knew who I was, and I got along with everybody because I like sports, I like music, so I got along with everybody.
Some things never change.
Yeah. Went to undergrad at I think 4 or 5 different colleges. My dad was like, "Damn, what are you doing? Majoring in college travels or something?" Ended up at Georgia State, finished there, and then went
Panthers.
to. Yes, sir. The real GSU.
That's right.
The real GSU. Sorry, Georgia State.
At us.
Not really, but took a couple years off because I was poor and couldn't afford to go to law school at that point, and worked for a law firm doing HUD foreclosures. It was like the largest HUD foreclosure firm, and this is like during 2006 to 2008.
Oh.
And so we were very busy. Like the economy sucked back then. And then saved up enough money, took an LSAT prep course, bombed it, did not do well, and took it again, did a little bit better, and then that's where we met at John Marshall Law School, and then started my legal career doing indigent defense down in Henry County. Then was a DA for 3.5 years, and then jumped into
there as well.
and then jumped into the PI game.
Okay. So walk me through kind of what parts you enjoyed in that process and what kind of helped you grow to where you are now.
I actually enjoy learning. Like when I get to a point where I'm financially stable, I would not mind going back to school and getting a PhD.
Why?
I don't know. It's just something about, I guess, like going to school, like there's structure. It's like, all right, you have to be here at this point. You need to do this assignment. You need to have read these pages. It's very, very structured versus now. Obviously doing very well, very blessed, very fortunate, but there's no structure. Like I can get up whenever I want. I can go to sleep whenever I want. I can stop working whenever I want. It can be a good thing, but it's also kind of bad because I'm like, squirrel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an important strength for most business owners when it comes down to it. But what is the hugest difference for you when it comes to, and I want to walk through you working for somebody else in personal injury and then deciding to do it on your own. So like, how did that help your growth when it came to, and let the people know, because they need to know kind of the big team that you grew. And
sure. So the first job in the PI space was for one of our colleagues, a small firm up in Duluth. And I didn't know shit about personal injury. I didn't know what a deck page was. I didn't know what a HIPAA was. I didn't know what a claim was. I didn't know anything, right? And so I was there for 1.5 years and learned those things at that firm. And then one of your current workers, shout out to Liz, left and went to a big firm in Buckhead. And they were like, fam, like you got to apply here. They don't know what they're doing when it comes to... They don't know what they're doing as it relates to personal injury because they had just started. There was a workers' comp firm primarily. They were dipping their toes into the PI space, and I was like, "Well, shit, I've only been doing it 1.5 years. I don't know anything either, but I know more than them." Right. And so the funny thing is, so I met with the bosses there, interviewed. I crushed that interview. Like I crushed it. And as I stand up to shake their hand, I spilled the drink on the owner. I was like, "Shit." There it goes. They still hired me anyway. Yeah. They still hired me anyway because I crushed it.
That's such a testament that I want people to understand, is that a lot of people in that instance would have been like, well, I don't know anything. I'm not qualified for that. I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah.
Like that's scary, and I'm going to go in and I'm not going to, and they're not going to like what I do. So what's the point?
Yeah.
So what made you brave enough to be like, let's go?
Just confidence, man. It's like, shit, if I don't believe in myself, nobody else is.
Right.
And so I'm like, ain't nobody gonna outwork me. And I'm good at it. Like, I'm really, really good at it. And so I went in there, and at the time I was the only lawyer on the personal injury side, and they had maybe about 300 to 500 cases, something like that. And then over that first full year I was there, we ended up hiring 3 more attorneys.
Wow.
On my 1-year review, I met with the owners, and this is like BDE right here. I was like, I want to be the managing attorney for this entire firm.
Right.
And I don't know shit about workers' comp. I was like, I want this. And what made me have that confidence is, like, we were crushing it in the personal injury space. I was crushing it in bringing in cases. Like, I was just killing it in every single aspect.
Boxes, yeah.
Like saving them money by doing innovative things like high-tech requests, forming the mail department, like doing all these little things to not only make them money but save them money. So it's like a double whammy. And I was just like, I want to be the boss of everybody. Other than me just killing it for that 1 year, they had no business agreeing to this, but they did.
Wow.
And so I openly tell people it was the best decision they ever made and the worst decision they ever made, because once I got into that role, I started learning the business aspect and how to run a business. And then that's what fed my hunger, gave me that idea of like, well, shoot, I can do this on my own. Instead of making somebody else financially stable, I can do it myself.
That's what I say too. Yeah, what I used to work for before I started my own firm, I did everything from intake to trial. And so I was like, what am I running? I'm literally running this firm.
Yeah.
And that's a dangerous skill set to develop. But yeah, and I want to really hammer this home, because I think a lot of people listening in right now are going to go, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense to them. You know, so how do you press through that? And then one thing I am impressed with is that you kept track of the things that you contributed. Because, you know, as a boss and an owner now, people just walk in, they're like, can I have a raise?
Yeah.
Can I have money? And you're like, why? I work here.
Yeah. Oh no,
that's their whole argument.
No, bro. I went over the top. Like, my first review, I put it together in it is like, how many cases did I settle? How much money did I bring in? What was my fee? What was my average fee percentage? What cases did I bring in? What did they settle for? What departments did I create? What innovations did I make? Like, it was all in a packet, and like one of those little paper things where you open it up and it's got the shiny see-through thing on the top. And then the second year, I actually did a PowerPoint presentation.
There we go.
And so, and people, when they were coming up on their 1-year review, I'd be like, hey, look, this is what I'm doing. So if you want them to give you more money, like, you're going to have to beat me.
Correct.
And so they started doing it. So that's when I kept going higher and higher. Again, it's just confidence in yourself. Like, so many people, it's not a fake it till you make it. It's like, no, you do it and you prove it.
Right.
You do it and you prove it.
Look at you.
Yeah.
How did you transition to now that you've kind of sold yourself, and now that they've actually said yes? You're like,
yeah.
How did you transition to managing so many different attorneys? Because so many people struggle with it. Something as a boss that I kind of deal with is that I kind of call it the fry maker or the chicken tender maker or whatever. It's like, you want to promote the person that's best at making fries, right? So what do? You let them oversee and train the people making fries. But some people are just good at making fries. Exactly. They're not good at telling people how to make fries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just because you're good at doing the work does not mean you're good at training people to do the work, because there's only one you.
And overseeing it.
Yeah. And I will tell you, like, overseeing people was way harder than doing the actual work.
Right.
Because you have so many personalities, you have so many needs that people want, and it was really a balancing thing. And you know, keep in mind, there was a whole department with 10, 12 lawyers that I was overseeing, and I didn't know anything about the substance of their work. And so I had a meeting with them. I was like, look, guys, you know, I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's not my job. My job is to make sure you have the resources that you need to do the best job you can do. And I just kept it real with them. And my goal was to kind of be that mediator, or that intermediary between the attorneys and ownership, and make sure that I'm advocating for both sides. It can't just be one-sided, because then the other side is going to be pissed off, and that's going to throw cogs in the system and clunk things up. So I looked at my job as just make sure the train was on the tracks and going as smoothly as possible, and then also, you know, continue to create and innovate and do things like that to save the firm money and do things to bring in more money.
Did you ever struggle? Do you remember an instance where you were like, like I'm, because I know it's hard for me personally. I remember the first time I had one of my attorneys try a case and I second chaired it instead, and I'm just grabbing the thing, like I was just like, oh, and then they're closing, and they came to me like, anything else? And I was like, it's not really how closings work. I'm like, fine, I guess. You know? So I know a lot of doers struggle with that, releasing the wheel and pointing and doing that. So do you remember a time where you were like, oh, this is different?
Yeah, when I had to let go of my case list, like when I had to let go of the clients that I had been helping and people that I brought in and called me personally to represent them, and I had to tell them like, hey, you're going to be with this attorney over here.
Right.
But don't worry, I'm still in the background, still overseeing it. But I mean, as you probably know, you just don't have the time to really do that. You can't be in the trenches at the same time because you've got stuff going on over here as well. And then the other thing was the first time I ever had to let an attorney go. And it wasn't necessarily a work thing. It was a personality thing. You know, you can't have somebody that's a cancer and it starts to infect the team because it messes up productivity.
One of the people asked me about like hiring and things like that, and one of the best things I ever did is that my older brother works for the firm. He does IT, and I'll never forget the first phone call I had with him. I said, hey, you ready for me to fire you? And he was like, what? And I was like, we need to have this conversation now. Because I have to assume that anybody I hire, I'm going to have to fire eventually. So you're prepared for that. And he was like, this is really grim. I was like, let's do it now than later. Because I'd much rather you feel like this is a little play club for you to have fun, and then me go get the hell out. That's a scary conversation to have. But when it comes down to it, the pie's only so big.
Yeah.
You know, we only make so much money. It's not like love. Like, oh, I love you all the same.
Right.
It's, we only made this much money. We're spending way too much money. You got to go.
Yeah.
And that's really tough. So what made you want to transition from doing all that when you finally realized that you had the skill set to, I'm going to do it on my own?
The brutal truth is I went to ownership and I'll never forget it.
People need to hear this.
I went to ownership and I said, look, we're doing very well. I'm happy to be where I'm at. I actually really enjoyed the job. Like I remember really did.
You and I talked about it.
I really did. Like I was getting offers from so many different law firms, including Nick. Which weren't bad, by the way. Which were not bad. Let me be clear. I kind of already made up my mind that I was going to try it on my own. And I went to ownership. I said, look, I want to be treated like an athlete. I want a contract. I want a guaranteed contract for 4 years. And you pay me $1 million over this 4 years. We got a deal. And I said, I don't care how we split it up. You can pay me $1 million on year one. You can do $250 a quarter or a year or whatever you want to do. But I want a guaranteed job over the next 4 years. And they wouldn't do it. Right. And I was like, well, then they don't believe in it. And so that's when I immediately started looking.
See, and I know so many people can relate to that moment of like, because I remember going to my old boss and being like, I want to make partner. How do we get there? You know, how do I build this? How do we grow? I went to another attorney and was like, hey, I have this money. I want to, you know, how do I buy in? And it was just very lackluster, like, And I tell my team all the time, I was like, I really never felt like somebody really believed in me. It was really like, wow, you're special until I did it myself. And that, I think that's a feeling that when you're in that moment, you're like, this sucks. Like maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And it's not until you take that leap that you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something special to this.
It was crazy because I was like, bruh, look at what we've done. We went from one personal injury attorney to, I think at one point we had 13 personal injury attorneys. Like in less than 3 years, the department that I was in charge of initially made more money and did more business than a 10-year-old established workers' comp department.
Wow.
And I'm just like, y'all don't believe in me? Like, what more do I got to do?
Right,
so then it was kind of like
a lot of money flowing.
Right. So now at this point, it's kind of like chip on the shoulder. Well, like, I'll show you. I'll go and do it. Like, I'm gonna make you regret not giving me that contract. And I'm not saying that's the right attitude to have, but hey, that's what it invoked in me.
You gotta find it, man. Jordan was like, he would make up. Fights before right to push him. Can't believe you did that to me. Like, what are you talking about?
It's like when Jordan takes out, and I took that personally.
Right, it's 100%.
Yeah, and
you have to find something to fuel you. And I know I was scared. I had very reasonable, conservative plans, and I was like, okay. And my son was 3 months old.
Yeah,
and I was like, well, I'm gonna feed him.
Yeah,
and I know both of us leaned towards introvert before we started our own firms.
Yeah.
And I just say, my kid's not going to starve.
Right.
I'm either going to develop this skill, or else.
Yeah. My wife was super behind me. And I don't think without her support, I would have been able to do it because she was just like, I know this dude right here ain't going to let us be homeless and ain't going to let us starve. And so when she was finally like, yeah, go ahead and do it, I was like, shit, we off now. It's like to the moon at this point. It's like GameStop back in like 2019 or whatever it was. Yeah. And haven't looked back since. And I don't look back and blame them for that. I'm actually,
they did you a favor.
I'm thankful.
Yeah.
And even before that, when I was in the public sector, I'm thankful that the people that I work with were assholes.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't, I would probably still be in the DA's office.
You'd be comfy.
I'd be comfy.
Right.
And I wouldn't be able to hire other people and help them support their families and provide them with jobs and them with opportunities.
Yeah. Friction creates greatness is one of my favorite sayings. And it's true. So now you're the king of ClayCo.
Yes, sir.
So why the focus so much on the county you came from? Because I love it. I really do.
I think that Clayton gets a bad rep in the media. Like, people think when you hear Clayton County, you're like, oh, what happened there now? They make it seem like it's a war zone out there.
Right.
Like, there's so much crime and there's nothing good in Clayton County. You have Victor Hill, who is his own topic. I don't know if I can say it, so I don't know if you can post it, but I'm actually in a documentary about Victor.
Oh, wow.
And I've actually read his book. But no, Victor was a former sheriff of Clayton County. He was extremely popular with the voters in Clayton County because the perception was, if you call Victor with a problem, if somebody's selling drugs next to your grandmother's house, you call Victor, he'll send 5 deputies out there. Next day, he'll send 7. Next day, he'll send 10 until, guess what? The drug dealers are no longer selling drugs next to grandma's house, which is great for grandma and all those people who love grandma and all those people that live in the county that vote.
Service.
Now, the flip side of this, they'll just go down the street and live and start selling drugs next to someone else's grandma.
Somebody else's grandma. Right.
But then it's an opportunity for him to make good with those people. And so that's what happened, is that Victor was extremely responsive to people who needed him. Now, the other side is, was he using funds for things he probably shouldn't have been? He was acquitted of those charges.
That's right.
Was he doing things to inmates that probably weren't kosher? He was convicted on those, but it's interesting that it seems to me from the research that I've done that that's the very first case ever brought against a sheriff for using the restraint chair against inmates. And I know Fulton County, like how their sheriff hasn't been indicted is kind of weird to me because there's been a lot of deaths on Rice Street. But anyway, so Victor, when people think about Clayton County, they think about Victor, they think about Waka Flocka, they think about Lotto, and I want them to think about me.
Right.
Because no one that I have seen in the legal space has marketed towards a targeted audience based on geographic region. So I'm the first one. And if other people start doing it, that's cool. But everybody knows I'm the one that started it.
Hometown lawyer. That's what people talk about. We're from here, we're things like that. But you take it to a next step.
Yeah.
So one thing I love about what you do is that you don't take yourself too seriously.
I don't.
And you bring a lot of humor to kind of the things you do. So you do street interviews. You one thing you like to do is kind of make fun of your contemporaries and about being super lawyers and you even gave me a lot of shit for doing billboards and things like that. So let's walk through what you've been up to lately.
Yeah. So my whole marketing thing is like, the reality is I do not take myself too seriously, but I'm a damn good lawyer. I take my job very seriously. I do a very, very good job for the people that trust me to handle their case, no matter what it is, right? But, I think that some of the advertising that we have done as lawyers has brought about why the governor and political hacks and insurance companies are attacking us. And so I'm trying to flip it on its head. And for the record, I tell Nick, like, hey, I'm going to make fun of you. I tell, people I'm going to make fun of you, but I still do business. I send cases to him.
Absolutely.
So it's all done in jest, but it's just my way of doing it and showing people like, hey, when people call and ask, hey, what is this billboard about? And I tell them the backstory, they're like, this is genius. I love it.
So walk the audience through, because we can put up a picture of it here.
So I have started off with 2 billboards, and one of them just says, yuh. YUHHHHHH. And then I bought a vanity phone number, 833 ClayCo 1. And that's all that's on the billboard. It's just yeah and the phone number.
Why yeah?
I don't know. I just think it's hilarious. Every time I drive by it, I smile and laugh. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't
money
believe
on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty decent amount of money on it too, as you know. I
Ever
just
think about what 8-year-old Danny would think? Like, what are you doing?
I mean, like, if I saw that, I would just be like, yo, who in their mind did this? Like,
Right.
I'm curious. I want to know more. And that's the whole point. When
Right.
people call me, I tell them, you're literally doing exactly what I want you to do. I don't have to put call. They fucking know what I can say fucking, right?
Sure.
Okay. They fucking know what to do with a phone number. You call it, you know? I didn't put a website. I didn't put the word lawyer. I didn't put my name on there. I didn't put my picture on there. I didn't put shit on there, but yeah,
Right.
and a phone number.
Right.
Then I put a billboard on the freeway and it says, ClayCo till I die. Because I've been saying that for years.
What?
Like, it's where I'm from, it's where I was born, it's where I live, it's where I'm going to live. I'm not moving.
Right.
Like, I'm established. I'm established. And so I want people to know, like, there have been people that have posted that I don't even know about because they're not in my network.
Yeah.
And so many people post it. And I think it's like, it's fun. It's like, you know, it's not, you know, I'm going to get you $1 bazillion. Like, they pass those billboards all the time and never call it. But
So why do you like that as opposed to the things you don't like? And that's something I want to talk about
Yeah.
a lot. So there's a lot of things in the PR industry that kind of drive you crazy.
yeah, it's I guess it would be the what I'm calling like the fakeness
Right.
about it, right?
Mhm.
Super lawyers, like it's just if you pay them money, you can be a super lawyer too.
Current super lawyer, by the way.
Am I? Am I really?
I think so.
Oh shit.
At least you were in 22 too. I know that. You
Oh
got that
shit. Well,
I've
my friends are trolling me by nominating
Absolutely.
me. Like,
Every year I make sure.
literally did on Nick's account.
Make sure.
God dang it. Oh, Mike Rafey. Rafey makes fun of them too, but he's also advertises being a super lawyer.
Right.
So
Yeah,
Mike,
yeah. It's a tough blend.
yeah.
Another guy who called me was like, "I'm gonna make fun of you." I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
It works, man.
Yeah. But it's just like I feel like we can advertise and market to people and do it in a sincere way without making it seem cheesy and cringe. Again, this is just my taste. I'm not saying this is for everybody because it obviously works because people are getting cases off of this.
Of course.
But like the making it rain or being in a booth with money falling, it's like I don't know about you, but I can't think of a single client that I was like, I would rather have this money and be hurt for life than I'm good without the money. Let me have full health.
Correct. And that's what drives me crazy about this. The way that it's the defense and bar and insurance companies paying is that because this lottery, they're winning the lottery. And none of my clients that are seriously injured would take that check. They
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
And health, really is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of the work we do, helping innocent people.
Yeah.
Try to get some semblance of their life back.
Yeah, you guys do a
But
great job.
Money will never replace it. And that's why I think you can take it too far and say everything's cheapening it.
Right.
I hate big checks. I used to think it was a big deal that people love, but I personally don't like it because it does. It gets very close to the lottery winning type of stance.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that. But we do incredible work, and
Yeah.
I'm incredibly proud of it. Like I know my clients live better lives because
Yeah.
of the work we do, and that's a really cool way to rest your head.
Yeah.
When you have the other side whose job is just to demean these people, you're a liar, and everything it drives me crazy. Like imagine getting up every morning and be like, oh, I want to go, strong arm some poor person that did nothing wrong. I'm like, what?
It's the equivalent of the idea of the welfare queen living high on the hog. It's
Right.
like, no, they're not.
They
Have you ever been on welfare?
right?
Like,
You ever handled 6 kids? Like,
Right.
It's
That's
a
just
nightmare.
that is like they are not going to Chops
Right.
and living high on the hog.
It's a
Chops is
nightmare.
yeah. So the perception that the insurance companies like we're so far behind on the messaging and the
Yep.
public perception on it. We're so far behind. So my whole thing is like maybe I can take one little piece and change it.
I like that you really focus on where you are. Like your riches and niches. They say.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not taking it so seriously. And I think it's important to inspire strength and competency and empowering because that's what we do. I mean, that's
Mhm.
what we provide an arena for some level against a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and that's who you're really going against.
Yeah.
You're not going against the person that hit you.
Yeah.
But also taking yourself so serious that anything is a blemish on you,
Mm-hmm.
I think is absurd.
Yeah.
And people don't relate to that.
Yeah. And it also I think on some level it creates a sense of inherent trust for the client. Like when they see ClayCo till I die, and then they call me, and I tell them like I'm from ClayCo, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't somebody from Johns Creek or Alpharetta that what we talked about before,
Or California,
or Florida or Alabama, or like they know like I'm a local guy, and I'm going to talk to them in their language, and I'm going to meet them where they need me to meet them. So it brings a sense of inherent trust, because when you're getting cold called from various clients that are maybe attorney shopping, they don't trust you. They're very skeptical of you.
Absolutely.
They're very skeptical. But if they know you a little bit and know a little bit about you personally, they're more willing to hear you out and also take your advice and really consider it, versus people who think you're just trying to scam them.
Yeah, and you're involved in the community as well, which I think makes a big difference. You host things actually in the community. So kind of have you built that trust that you think's been effective for growing your practice?
I would say a fair amount of sponsorships, whether it's athletics for my friends and high school classmates' children on. God, dude, I've done track and field for my high school. I've done volleyball for several schools in the Southern Crescent. I have done private football teams, travel teams. I have done softball teams. I have done the Hispanic Heritage Festival, the title sponsor, 2 years in a row in Jonesboro. So anything where I can give money to bring the community together and or help children stay away from things like just being on iPads and computers and shit all day long, I'm for it. And so I've done that since I opened my firm, and I don't ever ask anybody to ever send me a case or anything like that. It flows naturally. Like I have sponsored the Fayette County High School volleyball team for 3 or 4 years in a row. And lo and behold, guess what? The coach's husband gets into a wreck. Guess who he calls?
Correct.
Me. Correct. I don't go to them and tell them you have to send me cases. Like, no, I'm going to do it, and whatever materializes, it materializes, because it will come back to you.
Investing in the people that matter to you.
Exactly.
And I hate transactional. That's one thing that, and I've nobody taught me business, but I can't stand when somebody's like, oh, I did this, cool, appreciate it. So what are you gonna do for me? I'm like, ugh. It just instantly cheapens the whole purpose of building any type of relationship or community.
Yeah.
But I love that. I want people to hear that. I just volunteered. Underprivileged kids mean a lot to me. I have a foundation for that and things like that. It spreads so far, you don't realize how much your difference you make.
Dude, I go into Waffle House randomly, and I'll just pay for everybody's meal in the whole Waffle House.
Popular doing that.
I just do it. Like, I've never put it on Instagram. This is the first time my wife has seen me do it. My brother-in-law has seen me do it. My friend has seen me do it. But I don't put it out there.
And what's that tab cost?
Waffle House?
Yeah.
Less than $150.
That's what I'm saying. So you get to do something really cool.
Yeah.
Makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
And it's not going to break your bank.
No.
One of the funnest things to do I've found is go to a Waffle House on Christmas or Christmas Eve, like they're open.
Yeah.
And tip somebody like $500. It blows their mind. And it's instant tears. And it's the best possible way, in my opinion, to spend money is taking care of people that have never dealt with stuff like that. It's just like, what? As a former server of 11 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, that's why my marketing strategy is different, because, I would say, I have a video out there. It's like, I don't buy billboards. I do things. Well, now I have billboards, but I'm doing it in a different way. Like I'm trying to do something that's not self-aggrandizing. That's not about me. It's about the community. It's like when people drive by, and I have 10 more billboards coming out, and they say various things like Southside, I rep ClayCo,
I'm so excited.
all kinds of things about Clayton County.
Of course.
People see it, and then they can bond with each other. You may be at a red light, and you're both looking at this weird colored billboard, and you're like, yeah, hey, me and you, that's what's up. It's just fun.
What do you think has contributed to growing what you've been doing? Like, is it only this that's worked? Because I know you run a very specific way that you run your firm.
Sure. I think it's a couple things. Number one is having people that work with you that you can trust. I don't have KPIs. I don't have team meetings as a set thing. And maybe,
which is crazy coming from somebody who worked at such a large firm.
Yeah. We had at the big firm that I was at, it was like everyone had to meet at 8:48, which is an odd time, but
Right.
okay. And I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And you know, am I saying that I run my business the most efficiently and the best that it could possibly? Probably not. Are we bringing in cases? Are we settling cases? And are we getting fired? If the answer is yes, yes, no, we're doing great.
Right.
We're bringing in cases, we're settling cases, and we're not getting fired.
Right.
Like those are the KPIs. And so I
So
tell
you do have KPIs.
Huh? Yeah, I mean, yeah. But my thing is when I hire someone, I let them know, like, off the rip, if I don't trust you, you will no longer work here. Because I don't have the time to go back and check, like, is Jenny doing this? Is Millie doing this? Is Nati doing this?
Right.
Like, just do your work. That's it. I set that expectation up front. Now, if you need something from me, then you need to tell me that you need it from me, and I will make it happen for you. And so I think that, and then also just talking, I say talking to people like they're people.
Right.
Like I don't try to, oh yes, well you see the statute of limitations and the voir dire, and they don't want to hear that shit. I'm like, hey bro, look, we got about 3 months to get this filed, or what are we gonna do here? You know? And so I meet people where they need me to meet them for them to understand what's going on with their case. I tell them at the beginning, I probably spend 30, 40 minutes with every intake myself, letting them know the path of their case. And I say, if you do not hear from me, that's a good thing.
Right.
That means there's no issue. But if you do hear from me, that means there's a problem. And so now they know, like, oh, I haven't heard from my lawyer. Oh, well, he told me that was going to happen.
Right.
You know? But again, I mean, obviously people still reach out and stuff like that, and I respond to them. But it's just meeting people where they need to be met so they can understand and
People
put it
are
in.
scared.
Yeah.
You know, most of them never had to deal with something like this.
I mean, there are so many collateral consequences for when someone gets into a wreck and it's not their fault. That may be their only vehicle. They have 2 kids. They have soccer practice, basketball practice, you know, band, church. The parents may have 2 jobs or 3 jobs. They may be driving for Uber. Now they don't have a car. What are they going to do? Like, the insurance company and the insurance industry don't give a fuck about them.
It's true.
They don't.
Everybody's a number.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
And, you know, you've got mom and dad or whoever just doing all they can to get by with what they have, and the insurance company wants to arm from $500. Like, what are they going to do with that?
Right.
And that's to cover their medical bills, like everything. That's craziness to me. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so proud of the work we do, because we really are that difference. We provide that voice to them. And that's why I've really embraced the title of ambulance chaser. It's just such an absurd concept.
Right.
That's like very clearly bought and sold and marketed by the most powerful entities in the world to paint an obstacle against them. You know, don't use this one person that actually cares and isn't going to charge you anything up front.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're these evil little gremlin, and they exist. I'm not here to say that, you know, people who improperly solicit don't exist. 100%. Strike them down, man. No problem. But such an absurd concept. You used to be like, oh no, don't call me that.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, okay.
Insurance is the only thing. It's a government mandated scam.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot drive legally without insurance. So you have to buy it. And they know that, so they can charge whatever they want. You still have to do it.
Yep.
And then they make you feel bad when it's time for them. You know, they want you to make your payments every single month or whatever. Pay your premiums, okay? But when it's their turn to pay you, they're like, oh no, no.
And they actually foster something, like when they talk about family and being on your side and all these different things. And it works. It gets into people's brain. You know, they pay for 15 years for a specific type of coverage. They feel like, oh, we have a relationship. And then when it's time to actually benefit from it, they're like, I don't want to upset them.
Right.
I don't want to upset my insurance company, the thing I paid for 15 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean? This was the deal.
The messaging is wild.
It's
and
powerful.
Yeah.
It's
really is.
indoctrination. In a lot of ways. So what do you think is the most common mistake you see? Kind of people who are trying to come up or trying to replicate what you're doing.
One thing makes, I think, my journey a little bit unique than most others, like different than yourself. Like, I didn't come out of law school and hang a shingle.
Right.
I worked a whole different field of law for the first 5 years. Then I worked for 2 different law firms for the next 5 years,
Right.
5 years-ish, right? I started making connections and starting building a reputation within the community
Courage.
from the beginning,
Right.
like from the beginning. So when I went out on my own, I already had clients. Like I already had a book of business. I didn't do it like I'm open and I have 0 clients.
Right.
So that catapulted me into a very, very fast track to success. The biggest mistake is people think it's just going to be easy.
Yeah.
It sure as hell ain't easy, especially if you are an unknown person in the industry.
Right.
Because I don't know about you, but the first 3 or 4 years of practice, not my practice now, but just practicing law, people, well, how many cases have you tried? How long have you been doing this? Like longer than you, but you still get those questions.
Of course.
Because people think that if you are a younger or newer lawyer that you don't know how to do it.
Of course.
And to a certain degree, they're right.
Right.
They are right. Like your first 3 years of practice is you don't know shit.
You don't.
You have not committed enough malpractice to be a good lawyer. And so what I did is I committed all my malpractice on somebody else's dime.
Right.
And so now I try to limit that because now I have to pay for it.
Right.
It's just the minute things that you don't think about. Adobe subscription, email subscriptions, printer ink, printer, paper, a stamps.com subscription, the amount of time it takes to generate a letter and send it out to an insurance company, following up with adjusters, how to order medical records. I'll never do that again. Like I ordered medical records for a family of 4, and I was like, nope, never doing this again.
No,
never
thank
again.
you.
I know how to do it, but I ain't doing it.
Yeah, one thing I'm proud of is like I started my firm and I worked for somebody for almost 5 years, but I did everything myself. I think that was actually a mistake, but I did every single job in the firm, from licking every envelope to taking out the trash to IT to answering every single phone call. And I think it was good for me somewhat, but good God, was I losing money doing it that way? Like what a horrific way! Like how dumb was that? You couldn't hire somebody for $15 an hour. Part time.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's insane amount of things. But the good news is that I have a lot of credibility when it comes to my team. I'm like, I've done it all. I've done everything from intake to trying the case. And I still make coffee every morning. Intern Nick never died.
That's funny.
It's important.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of getting to, you're accomplishing very unique things, and you have a very broad interest. You're talking about PhDs, which, good Lord, I never want to go back to a formal school again. And you're a judge.
Yeah.
And you're thinking about, and, and you're thinking about, running for elected office. What is it about all these different callings that drives you?
It's to leave a legacy that my kids can point to and be like, yo, my dad did that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm able to change the way that lawyers market, everybody can be like, yo, Danney was the first one to do that. And I put this out there, so it's nothing new, but I would love and I want to have a library named after me, because I just think that's cool. And maybe I'll never achieve that goal. Maybe I just get a room in a library or a section in a library, but something that my kids and maybe their kids and generations down can go to and be like, I'm related to that guy.
Yeah. That's
something that lasts, because, a lot of times very wealthy, very successful people, they do really well, but there's like, once they're dead. There's nothing else.
correct.
There's nothing else. Like their great grandchildren won't know anything about them. But we still talk about Mark Twain. We still talk about Shakespeare. They've been dead for a long time.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get, maybe not on that level to be, in school books and things like that, but at least locally and for my family, that's what I'm trying to achieve.
So how do you make a difference right now? What are your goals for kind of building your legacy before you're in the ground?
Sure. Really just continue doing what I am doing right now. Continue to do sponsorships, continue to do community outreach things, continue to put up random things on billboards, and just help as many people as I possibly can. And that's how, I'm sure you've experienced that as well. That's how my business has grown. It's like every client you help, your sphere of influence grows. And every person I come across,
if you do a good job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Shrink.
Yeah. And all it takes is one bad job for that to go south,
Correct.
like really quickly. But I mean, I'm giving my car to the same Waffle House cashier probably 15, 20 times. But I talked to her, and just just continue to get to know as many people as possible and let them know, like, hey, I'm here if you need this resource.
Yeah, and I think being very focused in the community is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite sayings is the first step is to be remembered.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's good or bad, the good publicity, bad publicity, as they say. But yeah, I mean, that's to actually, I've always been relationship focused.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that, luckily, I'm very litigation involved. It doesn't scare me to spend money on a case I believe in,
Mm-hmm.
on my clients.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of lawyers, it terrifies them. Like $300,000 on a case, you're insane. What a huge risk. But when you believe in the client, you believe in the case. It's just not that hard for me. Whereas advertising has been really tough for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me to write those checks, I'm like, I don't know if anyone's even seeing this.
Right.
It feels like I'm just throwing it into the void.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what makes me kind of laugh because, I was litigating for 40 different firms throughout Georgia before I ever really spent a bunch of money on marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But now people know. Some people who don't met me or things like first time meeting, they're like, you network, you market so much, you spend. I was like, I really don't. Like, it's part of the, it's a natural growth of a firm.
Right.
But I always want to be relationship based. I always want to build something. And the people that refer to me now are completely different than who refer to me, when I first started. It transitions and moves, and firms grow and shrink, and sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
There's some people that stop referring to me. I don't even know why. Maybe I
Yeah.
said something political, or
Right.
they're just like, I don't like that guy anymore.
Right.
But it really has to be a relationship in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really been a strength that's worked really well for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, one advice I would give people: do not spend money on marketing early on. I bought a billboard like when I was 2 years in. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. It was no one knows who I was.
Yeah.
And it really has to be like the sixth thing they see about you for them to actually want to call.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless it says and
then. And the other thing I do, just I think a lot of myself when it comes to these billboards.
Right.
And again, I have no idea whether this is going to work or not.
Right.
And I went into it. Well, two things. Number one, when it comes to marketing, I went into marketing with the idea that it's not going to work.
Right.
I'm just doing it because it's funny.
Right.
Like the social media team that I hired, like my first meeting with him, I was like, dude, I don't believe in this. Just so you know, I do not believe in this. I'm only doing it because I think it's fun.
Right.
That's it. And so that's why I put out social media content. And with the billboards, I'm like, I just think it'd be hilarious. And so I put them random sayings in random colors. So the colors that you're going to see from my billboards, nobody else is doing these color combinations. And I actually spent a ridiculous amount of time looking up and doing research and the psychology behind the colors that I've chosen. Like, it's on purpose. Like, every billboard, what it says and what color it is on purpose. But yeah, I definitely would not recommend dumping a bunch of money into SEO and pay-per-click and all this other bullshit because, yeah, dude, I mean,
I can't tell you how many times I get an email from a Gmail address or a Yahoo or a Hotmail. It's like, I can get you 50 cases a month. I'm like, but you can't afford a website.
And there's so many advertisements on Instagram. Lawyers, 100 cases guaranteed. Like, no, you're not, because the reality is, they're giving their cases to John Morgan.
Right.
They're giving them cases to the people who are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Like that's just what it is.
And when they represent 6 people and all of them are bigger than you, who do you think the money's going to?
Right. Exactly. The best way to get clients is to make personal relationship with people. Whatever social groups you are in, everybody knows what I do for a living.
Right.
Like, I have no shame in it. No shame whatsoever. And then sometimes some of the people in my social group go and hire a different lawyer. I'm like, dude.
Yeah, that's shocking.
And somebody did that to me. And so I very kindly
burned their house down.
Plead the fifth. No, I asked them, I was like, hey, why'd you do that? In a very nice way. Like, it was like, hey, whatever, I know who they hired. Then they came to work for me. But I was like, why'd you do that? They're like, oh, well, I just figured you were too busy. I'm like, bro, this is my job.
Yeah.
I'm not too busy to do my job. But it's interesting to hear the reasoning behind it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you always have to let people know that you are receptive to, if you're a lawyer, representing them, and that you're not too busy for them.
Yeah. I mean, I was out this week and I ran into a lawyer I've seen a lot. And he's like, yeah, I've been sending out all my lit. And I was like, we should sit down. He's like, oh, just they're kind of small. I didn't think you touched them. And I was like, no, we handle that's kind of the bread and butter of my firm.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow, terrific. He's like, I wish I would have thought of that. I'm like, wow, like, it's true. Like you get to that point where like no one knows you, and then some people do know you, and then you hit a certain level of success where like, well, this is too small for him, or I don't even want to bother him.
They just assume.
That's so weird.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
And you're like, oh, did I do something to like give off that? But you know, I guess it's a natural progression, a certain level of what you're going on. But as we get towards the end of it, you know, I want to give you kind of your final when it comes to advice. Like if somebody's going, I want to be like Danney, I want to do something similar, and I know they're out there, you know.
Don't. Honestly, just be genuine in what you in whatever it is that you're doing. If you want to help people who have been victims of car wrecks, then you know you have to believe in it. If you want to be a criminal defense attorney, then believe in it. Get educated about the substance of the area of law. I'm not the end all be all, but I know some shit. I know some things, and I know them for two reasons. Number one, because I've effed it up before and I learned from it, and then two, I research it. And so you can't go into something like I've had several people break out on their own, and you know I'm like, hey, if you need a template, whatever, I'm here for you. And then they'll get a case, and it'll be a very good case, it'll be a punitive case, and then they don't even know about a 10-day property damage demand. Yep. They don't know spoliation letters. They don't know anti-litem. And I'm like, how about this? Why don't you just refer the case to someone? Even if it ain't me,
right?
Refer it to someone and learn what they're doing, because personal injury can be very financially well for someone. Right. And they think it's easy money, but it's not. Like there are a lot of intricacies when it comes to car wrecks and even more so premises liability cases. And so for me, learn when to let someone else take over. Like I refer out 50, 60 cases a year. I have several with Nick. I have several with this people. I have several with this people. Right. And, you know, someone told me recently, they were like, man, I really don't want to refer out cases because that's money that I could have had. And I'm like, you're looking at it wrong.
Correct.
You're looking at it
so
wrong.
And you have a duty to the client, you know?
Exactly.
And it drives me crazy when people put forth, you know, sometimes you need, and I'm a very good lawyer, but there's certain specializations that are just absurd that I know bringing in someone else will benefit the client. And even if that results in, typically it doesn't, by the way, the vast majority of cases that are referred to me, the referring attorney would have made more bringing me in than what their final offer was.
Correct.
That's my job. But, you know, you got to put the client first. And when it's incredibly complicated, acknowledge that and put the client first.
The three biggest cases that I've had so far were not done solely by me. They were done by people that I collaborated with.
And you were smart enough to know that we got to build a team here. Like, this is complex.
Exactly.
Right. And I think as you grow in experience, you understand that.
Yeah.
So I finish all my innovators and litigators with this question, and you touched on it a bit.
Okay.
I want you to expound on it. So in your mind, you know, you're 60, 70, 80. To you, and this is so different for so many people, what is it? How do you know that you've won? How can you lay your sword down one day and go, I did right. I did okay. See you, kiddos.
Man, I'm kind of aggressive when it comes to that, right? But like, there's a difference between being content, right? To being content, for me, it's like, hey, look, I have given my children the opportunity to be debt-free once they enter their adulthood, whether they choose to go to college or go into the work field, whatever. They don't carry any burdens on their back of student loans.
And that would have been nice.
Yeah. And being able to, you know, just hang out with my wife and do whatever it is that we want to do. And it may be nothing. It may be nothing. It may just be sleep till noon every single day. Yeah. But to the ultimate goal, again, is to have some type of building, preferably a library, named after me, so my family can physically go and see my name and be like, yeah, that's my dad or granddad or whatever the case may be. But yeah, honestly, just if I can get my kids to adulthood without having any burdens of loans on them, then I've won.
You're a good dad.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm not going to give them the world though. They're not going to be trust fund kids. Like,
fact.
Hell no. I got you to adulthood without loans, the rest is on you. Me and mom are going to go blow this money.
You're on second base.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, seriously.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
No, man, always good, man.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Remember, everyone, when you put in the work every day, it adds up to greatness. Thank you for joining us, Innovators and Litigators, Danney.
Yes, sir.
Absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it.
I always got to do my final call to action. Don't want to hit that. Please like and subscribe. We have new podcasts out every third Monday of the month. We look forward to having you back to listen to us again soon. Have a good one.